Welcome back to Steel City Sports. So today I'm going to be doing a reaction to every game in the NFL from Week 10. I went 10-4 on this week, which put my season record at 106-53, which is exactly a 2-to-1 ratio when it comes to my predictions. So if you're betting my picks, pick every 2 out of 3, I guess. I don't know. But let's get into my reaction for these games. So, of course, we started off Thursday Night Football with the Bengals at Ravens, and we got yet another great game between these two teams. If you remember earlier in the season, we had that game that went into overtime, which the Ravens were able to pull out, and I did have the Ravens in this one. I just think, even though they do have their issues on the defensive side of the ball, I just still think Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry, that duo is too lethal, especially against a Bengals defense that is struggling a lot in its own right. So that's why I saw the Ravens winning this one, and they were able to pull it out just barely. 35-34. The Cincinnati Bengals continue to just be a really frustrating team. And I've time after time tried to defend them on this channel. Not that I root for the Bengals, but I do think they are better than what their record reflects. I do think that it's still hard to write them off. You know, we're getting to a point in the season now where it's like they need to start winning these games or else their season's over. You know, I keep saying, oh, give it time. As the year goes on, the Bengals get better and better. Well, they need to start putting the wins together now, especially in the AFC, where it's like we're starting to see these teams come together. We're starting to see who these wild card teams could be. The Chargers are really good in that wild card spot. The Broncos are even making noise there. Whoever doesn't win the AFC North between the Steelers and the Ravens, that team's going to be a wild card team. So it's like these wild card spots are filling up really quick. So the Bengals, they really got to start putting something together here. I don't really know what you can change because even Jamar Chase was quoted. When Joe's playing that good and Jamar's playing that good and you're still losing games, it's really disheartening because Burrow is playing at an MVP level. Jamar Chase is statistically the best receiver in the league this year, and yet somehow this is their record. So I don't know about the Bengals. We're going to have to do, a video just solely talking about the Bengals going forward, but they're a frustrating team because they definitely could have won this one. But that puts my picks at 1-0 for the week. Next, we had that Germany game between the Giants and the Panthers. I did have the Giants in this one. We knew this was a toilet bowl of a game. You could argue this is the two worst teams in the National Football League. And I even said in my prediction video, if the whole point of doing these international games is to grow the league, why the fuck are we sending over these two terrible teams to Germany to go showcase the league? To me, that really makes no sense. This game was not that good anyways. And the Panthers ended up pulling it out. The Giants are just a fucking mess. I don't know how to put it any other way. And I'm not really surprised by this. I was very vocally critical of the Giants throughout the offseason. I feel like a lot of people thought that I was kind of being too critical of them because I did rank them as a bottom 5 team. If you go back to my ranking of the teams before the season started, I think I had the Giants in the bottom 5. And I said the reason why is because their offense is going to be so pathetically bad because Daniel Jones is a disaster. I still like parts of their defense. I think their pass rush is a really productive unit, but their offense is so dreadfully bad. You need to bench Daniel Jones. There's no way going forward that Daniel Jones can continue to start games. He's just too bad. There's no way Daniel Jones can be on this team next year. It's over. And it's kind of crazy that a guy like Daniel Jones has lasted so long on the team that drafted him. When you look around at some of the other guys who were even drafted after him, that abandoned their quarterback. Think of guys like, Justin Fields. Even though Mac Jones was a struggler, he at least got his team in the playoffs. I guess Daniel Jones did as well, but I don't know. It's kind of crazy to me that Daniel Jones is still on the same team that drafted him. What are we, 6-7 years into his career, and he's really done nothing of note. That's one of the worst contracts of recent memory. The Giants have to draft a quarterback this upcoming draft, whether that's Shedeur or Cam Ward. They need to get a new quarterback. Daniel Jones, it's over. It was already over before, but this is officially it. When you look at what happened to the Saints last week when they lost to the Bryce Young Panthers, they fired their head coach. The Giants coming out of this, I wouldn't fire Daboll, but I would bench Daniel Jones as a consequence to losing to this pathetic Panthers team. Next up, we had the 49ers and the Tampa Bay game. The Niners, I thought they were going to have a little bit more of a decisive win in this one. I did pick the Niners to win this one. They only won by 3. I'm pretty sure they were like 6.5 favorites in this game. And a big part of that, Christian McCaffrey did return. He was pretty good in this one. He was looking this good in his return. Just think of how good he's going to be in a couple weeks whenever he gets back into like full NFL football form. That's scary. That could be a real saving grace for the 49ers. They really need that jolt, that injection of talent into their offense, because it's been a very inconsistently up and down offense this year. But Brock Purdy definitely looked better. He looked more comfortable out there with McCaffrey back for sure. And Tampa, even though they continue to lose games without Evans and Godwin, they still continue to really impress me with how scrappy they are with actually staying competitive in these games where, they just don't really have a whole lot of talent on offense with those two guys gone. So to see them still be able to stay in these games against good teams, I think is really a credit to Todd Bowles, Baker Mayfield, the coaching staff in general. But yeah, I did have the Niners in that one, so that puts my picks at 2-1. Next, we had the Falcons going to New Orleans to play the Saints. The Saints won this game somehow. This, to me, is one of the biggest disastrous losses of the season for the Falcons. Like, this is absolutely unacceptable. Now, the silver lining coming out of this for the Falcons is it's not, I don't think, going to come back to bite them in the ass that much, because this division's not really like a race now. Like Tampa, I think they're 4-6 now. Atlanta is 6-4, and they beat the Bucs, so they're pretty far ahead of them. They got a pretty good lead on Tampa. Obviously, New Orleans and Carolina don't stand a chance. So if this were a closer race to win the NFC South, then I would come up here and really hammer at the Falcons for losing this game, because it's a really, really bad loss. But at the end of the day, they have such a lead in the NFC South. They're going to easily win this division, barring a massive injury. They're fine. It sucks to lose these, but I feel like, this always happens. It's not really a thing to overreact about. I still think the Falcons are a really good team. The Saints, they're still a dumpster fire. I think it does say something, though, about the Saints that the week after they fired Dennis Allen, they win a game. They were on a 7-game losing streak. They fired Dennis Allen, and then they win their first game without Dennis Allen. What does that tell you about Dennis Allen? Just saying. But yeah, I did get that one wrong, so that has my picks at 2-2. Next, we had Denver at KC. I did actually flirt with going with the Broncos here, but at the end of the day, I just couldn't do it, because I had to revert back to my philosophy I've been following the entire year, and that has simply been don't bet against the Chiefs no matter what. Even whenever they were underdogs against the 49ers, I had to take them. I can't bet against the Chiefs in good faith. So even though I thought this could be like a good little trap game, maybe they'll overlook the Broncos. These divisional games are always tough. I had to go with the Chiefs, and thank God I did, because they ended up yet again with their voodoo magic pulling this one out. The Broncos came within a missed field goal of beating the Kansas City Chiefs, being the first team to beat them this year, and it just wasn't able to happen. There's just something, I don't know what it is. The Chiefs just have a guardian angel. They cannot lose. And it's like, I'll continue to say this. I don't think the Chiefs are even playing that good, and they're still undefeated. It doesn't make sense. And they're just going to get better as the year goes on, because they're going to get some of these injured guys back. They're not going to get Rashee Rice back, but Isaiah Pacheco, they just took him off IR. So he's going to be back within the next couple weeks. And there's rumblings that Hollywood Brown could be back for postseason time. So they're doing this not even at full strength. They're doing this with Mahomes not even playing that good, and they're still undefeated. It's just, it makes no sense. It makes absolutely no sense. That probably deserves its own video. I did get that one right. Puts my record at 3-2. Next, we had the Bills at Colts. Of course, I had the Bills in that one. Not really a big surprise. They won there. I don't know what to do with the Colts. I did pick them as a playoff team, but a lot of that really was on the fact that I thought Anthony Richardson would be good, and it's clear that Anthony Richardson is just not a good NFL player. That's why he's benched right now. That's why Joe Flacco has started the past couple of weeks. And I just, if you're Shane Steichen, I don't know what you do going forward, because the whole philosophy behind benching Richardson in favor of Flacco was so we could win games now. Yeah, it might hurt AR's development a little, but it's going to help our team win and get us into the playoffs this year. Well, since you've made the switch to Flacco, you're now 0-2. So I don't know what to make of this Colts situation. I really don't envy Shane Steichen because that's a really tough call to make. Who knows what to do with the Colts? I mean, to me, they're kind of a mess right now. Like, anytime you invest a top 5 pick in a guy that just can't play, that's going to 99 out of 100 times, that's going to crush your franchise. We're kind of seeing that happen with the Colts right now because they don't really know what to do. Their whole plan for their future was based around Anthony Richardson, and Anthony Richardson is a healthy scratch. He's on the bench right now for a 40-year-old guy who can't win games. So I don't know what the fuck is the plan for the Colts going forward. I don't know. But the Bills, they pull this off. They continue to have a dominant record. Next, we had my Steelers going to Washington. Of course, watched every snap of that. Just an incredible game. And it looked pretty bad for the Steelers to start off. The Commanders had the lead going into halftime. Our offense didn't look as great in the first half, and then something happened where we flipped a switch. The second half, we came out, we looked a lot more composed. Russell Wilson threw the game-winning touchdown to Mike Williams. If you didn't see, I made a trade deadline review. We talked about the Mike Williams trade. I did not expect in his first game for him to catch the game-winning touchdown. So, of course, that move's already paying dividends. And so was the Preston Smith move as well. We talked about that trade as well. They only gave up a 7th-round pick, and Preston Smith was a really productive player in this game. He had a couple tackles. He had a sack. So we're already seeing production from our trade pieces. Russ continues to play very well. And then he obviously won us the game on that call at the line of scrimmage where he makes Jerzon Newton, the rookie, jump off sides. We won the game. It was a really, really fun game. Jay Daniels played very good. Russell Wilson played very good. Overall, really fun game to watch. My Steelers continue to win games 3-0 now with Russell Wilson at the helm. That puts my record at 5-2. Next up, we had the Vikings and the Jags. This was just a real dumpster fire of a game. I mean, an absolute horror show to watch this game. 12-7. The Vikings did pull it out, but for their offense to look like that against a terrible Jags defense, to me, is a little concerning. They still got out of here with the win, but I think we're really starting to see Sam Darnold come back down to earth. We talked about that last week, and I think we're going to continue to see this. Like, at the end of the day, you can scheme up Sam Darnold. You can make him look good. You can put him in a good offensive situation like he's with the Vikings right now. But at the end of the day, this is Sam Darnold. Everywhere he's gone, he's been a disaster. He's failed everywhere he's gone. He failed with the Jets. He failed with the Panthers. He failed with the Panthers. He went to the 49ers and couldn't beat out Mr. Irrelevant Brock Purdy. Then he gets to the Vikings. He has a really good start to the year. And if you'll remember, back in his first year with Carolina, he got off to a great start as well. I think the Panthers started off that year 4-0. And Sam Darnold looked really good. And then as the year went on, people starting to get hurt. Sam Darnold went back to being Sam Darnold. Are we seeing that now at the Vikings? I don't know. Like I said, I don't have the answer to that because we've yet to see it play out. I'm just the one asking the question. Is Sam Darnold reverting back to Sam Darnold? I don't know. We shall see. That, to me, is like the biggest storyline coming out of that one. But they still got out of there with a win. Puts my record for the week thus far at 6-2. Next up, we had the Patriots at Bears. The Bears, I mean, I think I'm going to be making a video pretty soon just about the biggest disappointments this season. The Bears definitely have to be on that list. I picked them to be a wild card team this year. They don't know what they're doing. The Bears this is not just a player thing or a coaching thing. This comes from like an overall structural flaw with the Chicago Bears. Like, the people running this team do not know what the fuck they're doing. To come into this season with Matt Eberflus as your head coach when you had a generational quarterback prospect is a flagrant disaster. That is an unexcusable mistake to do that yet again. You did it with Trubisky. You did it with Fields, where you fired their head coach after just 1 year. So now in their second year, instead of trying to get better within their system, they're now learning a whole new system and trying to play in a different way. This is totally unexcusable for the Chicago Bears. If they ruin yet another top-tier prospect This is probably the best quarterback prospect we've seen since like Andrew Luck, or obviously Trevor Lawrence was really hyped as well. This is like coming into this draft was viewed as a generational talent. The Bears fuck up yet another prospect. I don't know what to do. I'm kind of speechless right now. I don't know how you fix this, because it's like, even if you get a new head coach, you're telling me you could have any confidence on this Bears organization to really figure this out? How the fuck could you? They've been a joke for decades. They have never had a quarterback over 4,000 passing yards in the history of their franchise. How the fuck's that even possible? I don't know. I'm going to be making a video about the Bears, just solely about the Bears, because there's so much to talk about. They just fired their offensive coordinator, Shane Waldron. Didn't know what the fuck he was doing. I don't know why Eberflus is still there. I don't know what you do with the Bears. Like I said, I have to make a separate video about that. But to get crushed by New England, who I said going into this year, New England was the worst team in football. They're going to be, even though they have some wins here and there, the Patriots are still going to be vying for the number 1 overall pick, and yet you got crushed. You got curb stomped by that team. 19-3. 19-3 against the New England Patriots. How the fuck was Eberflus not fired after this? Every single coach on that staff should have been gone after that loss for Caleb to look this bad. I don't know what you do going forward. Like I said, I'll probably make another video just about the Bears solely, because there's a lot there. That puts my picks at 6-3. Got that one wrong. Next, Titans at Chargers. Not a whole lot to talk about in this one. We don't need to spend a whole lot of time. The Titans are a fucking disaster right now. We all kind of knew that. The Chargers get another quality win, 27-17. The Chargers are for me, are one of the most under-the-radar teams this year. They just keep rattling off wins. I mean, they did kind of embarrass themselves in primetime against the Cardinals a couple weeks ago on Monday Night Football. But I feel like a lot of their games do go under the radar because they don't play a very flashy style of football, but it's a winning recipe right now. They are a playoff team at this current moment. They would be a wild card team if the playoffs started now. And you think about last year, they only won 5 games with a better roster, I would argue, because they still had Keenan Allen. They still had I know Mike Williams was hurt, but they had Keenan Allen, who's a real difference maker. They had the same defensive personnel on this team. And they only won 5 games last year with that team. This time, by week 10, they've already won 6 games. So that shows you the immediate impact of Harbaugh. And even though that I didn't really care for the Chargers' overall roster, I thought they definitely downgraded their roster, losing those 2 receivers. You just can't really bet against Jim Harbaugh. You just really can't, because he has that proven track record of immediate success everywhere he's gone. The Chargers continue that. So that puts my picks at 7-3. Next, we had the dumpster fire that was the Eagles at Cowboys. I'm sick of talking about the Cowboys. I really don't think they deserve the light of day for me to even spend any time on them. They're a fucking clown show right now. Jerry Jones is a disaster. He's probably the most embarrassing owner in the NFL right now. Jerry Jones is a fucking idiot, honestly. I'm so sick and tired of seeing Jerry Jones on my Instagram thread, on YouTube, people blabbing about him. I can't take it anymore with Jerry Jones. He's a fucking idiot. Look at what he did to this team. $60 million a year to Dak. $34 million a year to CD, and Micah Parsons probably going to get $120 million guaranteed. All said and done, you combine all those contracts, it's going to be $450 million between those 3 guys. What do they do? How do you... To me, though, the more interesting piece of this is the fact that there were people out there that actually still thought the Cowboys would be a good team this year. Like I said, I made a video before the year started, 5 reasons why they're going to suck, and basically everything I said in that video was true. I get it, Dak is hurt now, but it's just a disaster. I mean, all that stuff with, the sun and CD's, I literally couldn't see the football in the back of the end zone. Any other normal person would be oh, my players can't see when they're on the fucking field. Okay, let's cover that up so my players can catch the touchdown. What does Jerry Jones do? He says, no, it's actually an advantage for our players that they can't see. What the fuck are you talking about? Well, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. The guy clearly has dementia, doesn't know what the fuck he's doing. That puts my picks at 8-3. Next, we had Jets at Cardinals. I did pick the Cardinals finally. If you've listened to my picks, you know I've really struggled with picking the Cardinals. I had to pick them this week because I just can't trust the Jets. The Jets are the team that I've probably been the most critical of this season, so I don't want to kick a dead horse. They're just not really worth talking about. And I probably won't talk about the Jets that much until, like, the regular season ends and I review, like, all the teams. I do have a lot to say about the Jets, but you guys have heard my rants about the Jets time after time this year, so I'll save it. Cardinals 9-3. Put my picks at 9-3 here. Next, we had the Lions at Texans in the great Sunday night game. This was a big statement win, I think, for the Detroit Lions in the fact that their quarterback threw 5 interceptions. They were down big at halftime, and yet they were still able to come back and win this football game. I think it really is a credit to how tough they play. They didn't give up. Jared Goff, I don't know how it's even possible, just the style of football in which Jared Goff plays. I don't know how it's possible he threw 5 picks, but he did. This is a really embarrassing loss for the Texans. Now, similar to what we said about the Falcons, the Texans don't have to worry too much about this loss because every other team in their division is kind of a dumpster fire. The Titans, the Jags, the Colts, they all have 0 chance of winning this division. So the Texans, they're sitting at 6-4. They're going to walk into this division title, but this is really, really embarrassing. I mean, it's really just unacceptable. And CJ was really bad in this one as well. He had a couple picks in his own right. He's just not playing well. I don't know what happened. Because CJ, to start off the year, was really good. I had him in my MVP race a couple weeks back. And ever since Stephon Diggs got hurt, he has just been kind of a disaster. For his sake, though, I do think Nico Collins will be back next week. So at least that's your silver lining. But yeah, I don't know. But I think this definitely does say a lot more about Detroit. They get a big win. That's why Dan Campbell is our thumbnail for the week, because his team went out there and had a really, really impressive showing. Then we had Monday Night Football, Dolphins at Rams. I did pick the Rams in this one. And a big reason why I did that is because we talked about this in my predictions. The Dolphins, historically in the Tua era, do not perform well against playoff-level teams. And the Rams, at full health, with Cooper Kupp and Puka back, are clearly a playoff-level team. This is kind of a big win for Miami. Now, I ultimately don't think it changes much in the grand scheme of the AFC. I think they are too far out of the wild card race. They lost too many games while Tua was gone. I still don't really understand why they didn't bring in Tannehill or trade for someone. You know, this was back whenever Fields was playing for the Steelers, and there were rumblings about, hey, should the Steelers trade should they trade Russ to the Dolphins for a 7th-round pick? Thank God we didn't, because imagine how that would look right now. If Russ went down to Miami, was lighting it up like he is with the Steelers, and it's like, oh, we could have had that guy. We gave him up for a 7th. Thank God we did not do that. But yeah, I don't get why the Dolphins didn't make a move, because if they just had gone 500 in those games without Tua, they would be in the race for the wild card now. But they've dug themselves in such a deep hole that it doesn't really matter that they got this big Monday night win. They're just too far out of the race. So that has been my reaction to Week 10. Be sure to let me know down in the comments your reaction to these games. How's your NFL team doing right now? Let us know all that down in the comments. And if you made it this far, I really appreciate you listening. Please like and subscribe.